We love this book, Lincoln in the Bardo, but it immediately reminded of a scene in Ralph Waldo Emerson's life. He was barely 30. His first beloved wife, much younger than he, had died a year or two into their marriage, and he went to her grave in Roxbury, and he opened not only the vault but the coffin and beheld it as your Lincoln holds the body of his son Willie in wherever it was. And I thought, for one thing, apparently it was not that uncommon in the middle of the 19th century, but I thought, wow, that's where George Saunders is taking us. And my immediate thought was, why don't we go there more often? What are we missing? What did Lincoln find? What did you find in that space?
Yeah, I think they were in a more high-functioning relation to death, actually, you know, and with the idea that if I love you and you die, that love is sort of co-located in spirit and body and the whole package, you know. In Tibetan traditions, that my wife and I are students of, they bury their dead in a charnel ground. In other words, the beloved dies, you take them up on the inside, you hack them apart with a hatchet, and you throw the parts on a hill, and the vultures come. And it's considered that that's actually the best meditative space, is to go up and sit there among the body parts. So you could imagine that if you could come face to face with that, especially in someone you loved, it would be probably traumatic, but also there it is, you know, there's the truth of it. So the book made me think that the squeamishness around death, it's understandable, but it's a form of denial, and whatever this is, this life, that's part of it, and that's it's a party we're all going to have to leave. So I that was sort of an interesting thing to go in there every day and go, okay, for once in my life, I don't have to avoid the pressing metaphysical issues, but I actually have to sit there with it for 4 or 5 hours, you know. And in this, I kind of riffed on Tibetan traditions in this book. Bardo is in the title, which is a Tibetan term.
Both life and death, according to the Bardo total, are a continuous flow of uncertain transitions called bardos. In the bardos of death, if mind does not recognize its own nature, it becomes ever more solid until it enters a new form of life. O son of noble family, now is the time for you to seek a path.
My Bardo is not the Bardo in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I felt like I had to dramatize and goof a little bit. But within that tradition, I found this very useful. The idea that if something happens to us after death, which that tradition and many others guarantees or says that there will, it probably is not unrelated from what's happening right now in our thought streams. Your mind with body is like a fantastically powerful horse tethered to a pole. The moment of death, the tether gets cut. So the mind then does whatever. It says in some of the text, if you imagine being in China, you'll be in China. If you have a negative turn of mind, that will be writ large. If you have a loving turn of mind, that will be writ large. If you have a tradition, you're Christian, you're going to see Christian iconography writ large. So that's both wonderful and terrifying. And I think it actually is understood to have to do with the micro-motions of the mind that we might not even be 100% aware of. So that was it's a wonderful thing to think about spiritually, but artistically it gave you a lot of rope too.
Everything reminds me of the Dostoevsky's inscription at the start of the Brothers Karamazov, where it's out of the gospel, the sheaf of wheat that falls to the ground. And it's not about death, it's about new life.
Yeah.
Everything the story of our world is really not so much ashes to ashes as life to life.
Right.
And even with the vultures carrying off the body of the beloved, it's instantly life in that vulture.
Right.
Flying over the earth.
The only pisser is when you're the one whose arm is being carried off and you're very fond of yourself, then you get that kind
You're
of
just
feeling.
watching from 1,000 feet up.